What's going on, everybody? It's your boy. I'm back. I have my brand logo next to me again. I got nobody. I can't lie. These introductions are always the hardest part for me. And I usually hide that by just being like, "In here," and letting them introduce themselves. Mainly because I still don't know what to introduce myself as. There's like a section of the internet that knows me as What That Meowth To, my gamer tag. And then, real life people who probably just know me as Johnny. I guess Manna is something I should go by now, since like the two N's in Manna in the name of this podcast is actually just a play on my last name that's spelled Mana. Well, there's more letters than that, but if you already know it, you know. I'm not just gonna divulge that info yet. But yeah. That's the most awkward part for me when talking alone is who am I and why do people care? Especially because my main point is supposed to be making someone care about this person, but this person is just a very outdated sticker I made for my brand, because that is a Twitter logo. For people who are watching, people who are listening, or just take my word for it, it's pretty old, and it's a Twitter logo, not an X, not an X. So, despite the little haphazard intro, I actually have more of a plan than normal. Because I find when I do this alone, I am much worse at rambling, and I'm much worse at making this up as I go. I'm very good at bouncing off of somebody else and diving deeper into what that person presents to me, and having a conversation. Not very good with having a conversation with myself, despite as often as that goes on upstairs. I tried really hard to get the two people I was already talking about. Made last-ditch efforts for them. Didn't work out. It's fine. We're adults. They have schedules. I have schedules. So I'm not thrilled about it, but I am glad I'm doing it instead of doing nothing. To be here alone again. For next time, I'll try harder to reach out to more than just the same two people. I just really wanted to do these two people, There were just two people I really wanted to have on and really wanted to dive deep with. Regardless, I'll think of more people and we'll reach out to more people. Maybe I should have done that anyway, instead of putting all my eggs in two baskets. Doesn't matter. We're here now. Maybe I'll reach out to Alex or Andres or Apostla, maybe have them on for round 2. I guess for Alex would be like round 3 or 4, but it's appropriate since that is my brother. Yeah, let's just dive into it. I can sit here and talk about wanting guests for 45 minutes, but that wouldn't be very fun for the people listening and watching. But I will throw out one more time: if you or someone you know is interested, reach out. Always reach out. Worst I can say is, no, you're boring. Just kidding. I'm boring. That's why I need you. You. Pointing for the people who are listening. If you're watching, you know that. Yeah, so I guess, I want to talk about some of the Nintendo stuff. I know it's, a little late now, which, not really, because it just happened, but, in terms of the internet, there were people, live reacting, and here I am, 3-4 days later. I'm not gonna go point by point like me and Alex did on the last one. To be frank, it wasn't that exciting, but there were a few things about it that I think are worth talking about, especially for me personally. But before that, I want to talk about Concord. I like Concord a lot. I have a lot of fun playing Concord, and there's just so much discourse about it on the internet. It's funny because like it's kind of almost like politics and all this other stuff where like and maybe this makes no sense or maybe like I'm about to hit like a chord for a lot of people, but I swear anything that's like controversial and like causing arguments on like the internet, especially on like the wasteland that is Twitter and or X, I swear I see more people complaining about people that don't like it or people that like it more than I see people that like it or don't like it. Like, I see tons of people who like the game who are like bad mouthing the people who dislike the game because they're wrong. Or I just see other people like bad mouthing people who like it because they're wrong. But like, I see very few people just firmly saying that they like it or dislike it. And like, it's like that same vibe I get when people talk like politics, especially like social politics, where like, I'm trying to give a good example. I don't want to say like J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter because I do know a lot of people who actually are very hurt by her, and I could talk for 20 minutes about how I've given up one of my bigger hobbies because I just know it hurt my friends. And if you didn't, that's fine, and if you did, that's fine. But like as a friend of these people, I just felt I had to not. And I'm not going to now. But like I can't think of a better example, so I'm gonna roll with it, but not go into like details about like why that's controversial and why people talk about it. But I swear to I always see people that will like complain about people defending her, but like I never see people defending her. And like I feel that's all over the internet, and I feel like it's getting to that point with Concord, except for the fact that like and like I laugh because like I swear like every time I get really into a game, I just feel like I'm cornered by people who like just don't let me like it. Like me and Andres had a whole conversation on the podcast he was on about how like I love Horizon Zero Dawn and I love Horizon Forbidden West. And just like because they came out around games that people like better, just no one lets me enjoy it. They just tell me why I should like that other game and why I'm wrong and why this game's not good. And like, first of all, if you like something, there's no like you're wrong. Like if something brings you joy, that is the only reason you need to like something, regardless of all the reasons someone will tell you why you shouldn't. But I digress. What's another good example of that? Before we do Concord, of just Spider-Man. Like people like love to like rub in my face that Spider-Man 2 won like nothing. Like I don't care. It won my heart. It won my heart. It didn't need to win any awards. Leave me alone. I think your game is boring. Except I'm not going to complain and tell you that because I want you to like what you like, and I want you to let me like what I like. And that's how we get back to Concord. Like, oh, I think it was last Friday. For the record, it's Thursday night, the 29th. And this will probably go live Saturday morning. But last Friday, I actually, despite saying I don't really see these people, I just see people either defending or complaining about these people. I saw someone just like ragging on Concord for like no reason. So I was like, all right, whatever. I'm just gonna. That's enough Twitter for today. You know, like I say that as a joke a lot, but that was like a real like instance of like, yeah, that's enough Twitter for today, and I moved on with my life. um, but later that day, a streaming friend of mine, like a mutual of mine, was doing like a big birthday stream, and I don't even know what he was talking about, but I promise you it wasn't Concord. Like they were playing Jackbox or something, and like people were just like talking, enjoying, having a good time, and the same dude, like literally like the same username, like no exaggeration, pops up in the chat of this stream and just goes, "Yeah, man, must suck to like Concord. Am I right? What a lame game." Like, I swear that only happens to me. That the same stranger that I made, like, the adult decision to not, like, take the bait from and just close the app, go on to something else I like, just pops up what I moved on to just to talk shit for no reason. Like, that could only happen to me. I swear. I swear. Um, and I guess if there's a moral of the story, it's that guy sucks. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't even. I have no intention of saying who it was. I don't even think I remember the name, so like, I can't if I wanted to, which I don't. Um, I encourage you to try the game. If you looked at it and you thought it was interesting and you wanted to try it, I encourage you to try it and to not worry about like the weirdness on the internet of people who are just convinced that they should tell you shouldn't, and they just convinced to tell you why it's bad. And like, if they think it's bad and they want nothing to do with it, I'm cool with that too. Like, don't ruin my game. You know what I'm saying? I just let people enjoy things. Don't let people ruin things for you. Um, or I guess my 2 points about my rant about Concord and how I'm kind of sad that I feel like I'm all alone when I play Concord. Not when I play Concord, because obviously I get into games because people play the game despite what people tell you. I mean, I feel like I'm in my corner with Horizon and Spider-Man 2, and nobody cares about me. um, yeah, I just want to talk about that weirdness. I just think it's really weird. I just think it's weird that there are people that just open their phone, their computer, whatever, and they just go, someone's enjoying something? Can't have that. We can't let that one go, bud. And again, don't like it, but just don't dump on people for liking it, I guess. Um, if Alex was here, he'd say, except for baseball, screw baseball. But he's not here, so let people like baseball. Take a sip of water. This is an awkward moment for everyone involved. You may have gotten a good glimpse at my I Believe in Joe Hendry shirt. Well, I guess if you're listening, you didn't. If you don't know who Joe Hendry is, just know that they love him in Paris and Texas and Tokyo and America and Scotland and Mexico, and I definitely butchered that entirely. Just look him up. I'm at a point. This wasn't part of my plan, but like, for no reason, I was like, look at my Joe Hendry shirt, so I'm gonna talk about Joe Hendry. Um, it surprises me when people don't know Joe Hendry, like, especially because like I have plenty of interactions where people are like, I don't even like wrestling, and I love this guy. Just like the meme he's become is just so big and good that like it just surprises me when people haven't seen it. I remember like a friend of mine at Pathfinder the other night was like, I haven't really kept up with anything like modern wrestling. I'm like, the only thing you need to know is that we believe in Joe Hendry. And I clapped my hands twice, I think. And he had no idea. And I was like, oh, like, pull up my phone. We'll find a reel. And I couldn't find one, of course, because when you try to prove a point about something, it's not going to come up for you. So the moral of that story is, we believe in Joe Hendry. If you don't know who that is, look him up. You're welcome. I'd love to like have someone on where we could just have like a whole wrestling episode to talk wrestling. Um, Speaking of Joe Hendry and how we believe in him, uh, I like have a friend who has like a wrestling podcast, and like me and him used to like do music together. Like, we used to be in bands together and stuff. Me and him go way back. And it would be cool to like have him on and like catch up with him on this podcast. And like, I guess one of the reasons I haven't really looked into making that happen is because I know, like, even though like we'd have a lot to talk about, like, as musicians, especially musicians who worked together and like worked well together, um, like inevitably like the topic of wrestling would come up, and like I'd feel bad if like he either felt like, oh, I do this all the time. I think I'm done talking wrestling for the week, or even the opposite, like, oh, I could be doing this on my podcast on my platform. This is a waste. Not that I think he'd say those things out loud, because I feel like you'd feel them to some extent. Like, I'm not gonna say that makes him rude, or because I don't. I mean, I'm the one who's even saying I think he would feel that way, and I wouldn't blame him. But maybe I'll talk to him anyway. We'll see. We'll see what goes down. If it's not him, maybe it'll be somebody else. Because like I talked about Joe Hendry for like what, 2 minutes, if that, and not even for any reason. Like, it wasn't on my short bullet list. It just literally because that this is the shirt I threw on when I got home. I believe in Joe Hendry. Um, yeah, we'll add him to the list, and other people who like wrestling to the list of hopefuls for next time. Since I'm still very hopeful for someone else the next time. Um, I feel like I can't go back to Concord now. I'm not even sure I said everything I meant to about Concord. I don't think I can go back now. So that's over. Moving forward, oh, actually, before I move forward completely from Concord, even though I just said I'm not gonna go back to Concord, if you wanna play some games with your boy, hit me up because I am down. Now we're moving on finally. Yeah. I accidentally pivoted to Joe Henry while I was drinking my water, and I just don't think I can go back now. So when I'm laying in my bed later and something pops in my head, like, oh, you forgot to say this about Concord, just I'll throw it on TikTok. So follow me on TikTok. Same name, Big Brother Manna podcast, or my personal one. What that may have to. I'm so bad at TikTok. Like, I have so many ideas, and then like days go by, and I'm like, well, I can't do it now. I mean, I could do it now, but you know how that is, right? It's like when you get like a text message and like you thought of the answer, but you never sent an answer, and then like 3 days later you like realize you never answered the person. It's like, well, I can't now, right? That's like my exact relationship with TikTok, where I like have an idea and I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be a good TikTok. I should really do this. I should really jump on this. And then days go by and I go, well, can't do that now. Which, I mean, I can do that now, especially because like what I'm about to do is like talk about the some of the Nintendo stuff 3 days later, which by my TikTok logic can't talk about that now, right? But here we go. We're about to we're about to. Um if you watched it, this might be a little easier for you to follow along with, because like I said, I'm not going to go game by game and talk about it. I don't remember. I don't feel like looking it up. There wasn't a lot I cared about. Just straight up. It was like an indie showcase, and it was like a partner showcase or whatever. And it just seems like a lot of anime farming that just I'm not going to do. And if you like those cozy games, those especially with an anime twist, then like I'm fired up. How fired up you must be, but I will not be doing those games. I will not be playing those games. I will not be doing any anime farming. Um, but they open with a bang. Like it opens with Balatro, and how they were doing crossover, like free download. It wasn't even like a download. It just kind of like happened. I think it had like a free update, collabing with Witcher 3, Among Us, Dave the Diver, and I'm struggling for the last one. Survivor. Um, it's like cosmetic, and like the cards have like skins for those games, and it's like still really cool. Um, Obviously, like Among Us was huge, is huge. Really cool that they got that. Dave the Diver just seems to collab with anything and everything. Because like, don't they have like Godzilla and like Dredge? Super sick. But that's like in Dave the Diver, or is it in Dredge? I don't even know. And I Dave the Diver is such a relaxing game for me. Like, like it's just so relaxing. So that was really cool. And then The Witcher, I like. This is so dumb. Like, I'm admitting that this is one of the weirdest things about me and my feelings on games and nerd stuff. I tried to play Witcher 3 and like I just hated it. Like his like his voice acting, which if you like the game, I'm sure you love it and that's valid. But like just something about like me struggling to get through the game and hearing him grunt and complain about how slow I'm taking, like just ruined it for me. And like I was just like, yeah, we're done here. Um but despite that, I loved reading the Witcher books. Maybe it was just the voice that killed it. That killed it for me, parlayed with me sucking. you know, um, that's another thing. Being bad at a game is no reason not to like a game. Like those people who are like, "You just say that because you suck. Get good," are severely underestimating the amount of games I suck at and love deeply. Love dearly and deeply. And honestly, that could bring us back to Concord if I really wanted to go back, but we're not gonna. Yeah, I love the Witcher books. I read the first two. Um, I have all of them. I started the third one. I think if I was gonna go back to it, I'd start it over because it's been a while now. Um, and the only reason I haven't is because like I've just been more into audiobooks lately. Because I put them on at the gym or like walking the neighborhood or like at work, like, in downtime. Not like downtime, but like, before and after. And I don't want to like buy an audiobook for a book I have sitting in my room already that I could easily just sit down and read at different times, which I like still reading. But yeah, I love The Witcher despite not caring for the games or watching the TV show just because. But the only reason I haven't watched the TV show is just because I'm not sure how much book I have to read to not have the TV show ruin anything for me. Um, so if you have that answer for me, please let me know in the comments or reach out to me and let's talk. Please reach out to me as a common thread here. I like to make myself available. Especially if like you just feel like you need to talk to someone, like always reach out to me. Worst case scenario is I just will be like, please just hang tight and I'll answer you as soon as I can. It's no secret that like mental health is important to me. I drew the brand. It should be a part of this podcast, but like that part of the podcast is usually me like, oh yes, how you been? Like how you feeling? Like what are we gonna do to get by this? And just like there's no one here to do that with. It is what it is. We'll talk more about that. I'm gonna put a pin in that. I'm gonna put a pin in that so we can continue talking about Balatro and the Nintendo stuff, and then we'll unpull a pin about like my ambitions with mental health. Okay, so we're gonna pin that. Yes, 3 out of 4 things that I think are really cool. I didn't have Balatro though, and that's gonna seem so wild, especially now that like I was like, well, this is my sign to get it, right? Like, especially because of like having it on the Switch just seems like the place to have it. I didn't really like fully understand the ins and outs of the game because like I didn't get it or really look that much into it. But like I have so many friends who like swear by it, tell me I love it. Waba plays, I hang out with him and the other three dads guys at PAX every year for at least a little bit. Obviously not a weekend because they're there being a real podcast and real media members. And but we hang out a little and like I remember him being super into Balatro, like they talked about it a lot. So after that like Nintendo announcement, I was just like it has to be time, right? Um so I downloaded Balatro finally, and I am hooked. Like I am hooked on Balatro. Especially having it on my Switch. Man, just to, just having it right there in front of me in bed, laying with my dog, very relaxing when times I need to relax. Um I said part of these solo episodes would be like talking about something I've done recently and like relating it back to like my own mental health. And if anyone's been listening from the beginning or went back and listened after I did last episode or hits pause right now and listens or retroactively listens and then this will make sense later. Me and Alex talked about like at that point in time I played a lot of solitaire. Like the card game solitaire where you just like find the cards and put them on top of the other cards, like solitaire. Like not I'm not I'm not talking about any kind of like intense game. I'm talking about literally the you played alone card game solitaire. Obviously like with phone apps and sometimes cards. Um, because just like when my mind wanders too much or like there's just too many thoughts, too much going on, and I just really need to reel myself back in and concentrate or just keep myself from spiraling or doom scrolling or whatever. Just to hone myself back in, concentrate on something till I get through it. Solitaire really helped to just have that task of just like beat solitaire, and it's just I could easily pick it up and get to it. Balatro scratches that itch in my brain and my psyche and my like mental health so much better because if like I feel myself slipping, spiraling, drifting, like, and I just need to hone myself back in, whether it's like from depression, from being anxious, or just too much energy, even I just gotta hold myself back in. Like instead of solitaire, I've been pulling up Balatro, and it gives me that same like focus, a focus on the cards. What are the cards in front of me? How am I using them? Except now there's like more strategy because if you played Balatro, you get to pick like your jokers and your planet cards that affect the way the cards score and the way the game plays. And it's not just like, okay, so this is the next move to get to the next move to get to the next move. There's like strategy there. There's like a score there. There's like a sense of winning and completing something there, like playing a video game because it's a video game. Um, and like, yes, it just not to ever say I won't go back to solitaire or to belittle my time with solitaire because it's helped me when I needed it to, very much so. But Balatro has become that game for me now that like helps me focus when I need to focus, helps me pull myself back together when I need to pull myself back together. Just just a focal point. You know what I mean? Just like a focal point for all the craziness in my brain to get to the end of it. Um I was also like really big into like World Series of Poker when I was in high school and like the World Poker Tour. I was convinced I was gonna like turn 21, go to Vegas, and win those things. I'm poor, so that never happened. Hold on, one more water break. So the fact that it's like poker hands and like chips and like jokers and like really also makes me feel like nostalgic for that time of my life. Um, maybe it's a sign that me and my friends should have like a poker night, but we can barely plan Magic the Gathering night, so it's probably we probably what are the odds we're gonna plan both? But yeah, I was like really big into World Poker Tour and like the World Series of Poker like on like ESPN in the morning. I thought it was like the coolest thing. I thought it was super cool, and like especially the people who were like just trying to be like characters like playing poker. Like there was like the dude with like the big cowboy hat. I think they called him Jesus because he had long hair. Um, there was like a dude who they called like the Unabomber because he had like the gray hood and like the glasses, and he was like my favorite because he was just like so goofy and silly, and like I was like that's me. Like if I was sitting at a poker table, I would just try to silly people into submission at the poker table. But yeah, that's Balatro was one of the things from Nintendo that not only got my attention but got me to buy the game finally. And man, I didn't know I needed it, and not just as like a gamer who needed a new game to play. It's just calming for me. It's a focal point for me, like Solitaire was. Um, thank you, Balatro, and the award goes to no. So if you haven't played Balatro yet, I suggest it, especially if you like you've been thinking about it and just haven't, like I was. It's time. It was time for me, and now I'm telling you, it's time for you. If you're interested, try it. I actually had a mutual on Twitter like comment on my picture of me playing it, like, oh, like this is stupid, but like how well do you need to know poker to play this? Like, is that gonna ruin for me? I was like, well, no, not at all, because you can like click on this button and it shows you like the poker hands and what they currently mean to your game and everything else. And like, I didn't like say this to them, but like, after the fact, I was like, that information's pretty easy to find. Like just Google switch quick like poker hands. But the knowledge of the hands is really all like the poker knowledge you need to play the game, and they provide it for you. So if that is also like what you think is between you and playing Balatro, it shouldn't be. Because it's very easily accessible, even if you need to look that stuff up, or like I said, use their cheat sheet right there. So if it's something you've been interested in, it's time. I'm just gonna say it. Like, it's time to try it. Hit pause, buy Balatro, let it download. I was gonna say like let it download while you come back, but like it's gonna be a quick download. So just like play a couple rounds, come back, or if you're not interested, just stay, or just do it later. But just it's time. That was my point. It's time. The other thing for Nintendo, that caught my attention was, and this is silly. This is very silly, but like, okay. So actually, I'm gonna pivot. I'm gonna go to one thing. So I didn't watch the Nintendo stream. I watched like if you know me, I'm big in the community of Co-op 64. Shout out Nick, Connor, and Brady, the best, the goats. Um, I watched Nick from Co-op 64 react to it basically. Um, and they announced a Patrick game, like Patrick Star, like a SpongeBob SquarePants game about Patrick Star. And Nick goes, "Is this SpongeBob?" And I go, "No, this is Patrick." And then the commercial like for the game, like the trailer for the game that they were playing on the Nintendo thing said, "No, this is Patrick," and announced it as like a Patrick Star game. So good. First of all, like props for them for like understanding the meme potential there, and then like capitalizing on it hard and well. Like A+ meming. Good job, Outright Games. I'm pretty sure it's Outright Games. If I misspoke, I'm very sorry. And kick me in the shin next time you see me, Outright Games. But or whoever made the game for real would be the people who probably deserve to kick me in the shin. Pivoting back, um, they announced Shrek content for Power Wash Simulator. And yes, this is the only other thing besides Balatro from the Nintendo Direct that I've decided to talk about. Aside from a quick shout out to Patrick Star. Um, Power like it's exactly what it sounds like. It's Power Wash Simulator content, like, but it's Shrek. So like you're gonna wash the swamp in the hut with your power washer, and I said it in the chat of that stream, and I'm gonna say it here. Someday we need to study the absolute stranglehold that Shrek has on pop culture. Like the absolute stranglehold that Shrek has on all of our minds, rent free. God, how old is that movie even? They're still doing it. Me and my friends saw like a 3D Puss in Boots movie recently. Just went to the theater and saw Puss in Boots at 30 something years old. I know how old I am. We're all different ages. Before anyone comes at me with that, what do you mean 30 something? You don't know how old you are? I do. I don't know how old they are. But yeah, that's how like uninterested in like the Nintendo thing I was that I want to talk about how I'm glad it got me to download Balatro, and I wanted to say, holy crap, we're still doing Shrek. We still love Shrek. Hey now, You're an all-star if you play Shrek Power Wash Simulator. Um, I am trying to like double think if there was anything else that I liked about it that I could talk about. There was a game called like Date Everyone and like or Date Everything, which if you're into like dating sims and stuff, it did look kind of like funny and fun and like if you're like a creator, I can see that like churning out some quality content. Um, I will not be getting it. Just like the farming and the anime farming, I like more power to you if you want to, and I hope you enjoy yourself. But I will not be farming, anime farming, or dating everyone. So I'm sorry. Um, I will be dating. No, I'm just kidding. Nobody. I don't even know what the punchline to that was going to be. I will not be dating everyone in terms of Nintendo. Um. Oh, and then right after that, they announced like some. I want to make sure I get the name of this game right, especially because of. I'm just making sure I get this name right, especially because it came on after a game called Date Everyone, and the word like the word peg is in it, and it came on right after Date Everyone. So I think I'm being careful, and if you don't, you might be a mature adult. So props. Peglin, Peglin, which looks super fun, and I might give that a try when it comes out. That did look up my alley, to be honest. Yeah, that's it. I wasn't very interested in it. There are Nintendo things that I'm interested in, like the new Zelda game where you play as Zelda. Me and Alex reacted to that Nintendo Direct, and we had a very deep conversation about that game while we're excited for it. I love that like Link's Awakening remake art style. What I really wanted was Oracle of Ages and Seasons remakes in the same artwork, but I will take this and I will play this. Um, and I really was hoping for like I knew we weren't gonna get that or this because it was like indie stuff. But Odyssey 2? Can we get an Odyssey 2 in the world, please? I could go for a new 3D Mario game to play right now, to be honest. Um I'm a big 3D platformer guy. I like grew up with Nintendo, so like I love platforming. Yeah, can we get an Odyssey 2? I mean, I feel like that's I try not to like talk about like the Switch 2 or like the Switch successor because I swear like ever since like a few months after the Switch, anytime Nintendo said they were going to talk about anything, the internet would be like, "It's the Switch Pro, it's the Switch Pro," and then after a few years, it like pivoted to like, "It's the Switch 2, it's the Switch 2," and like I try to like stay away from like buying into that hype and those rumors until like they legit say on this day we're going to announce something big and it's probably the you know what I mean but yeah, I feel like Odyssey 2 or like Maker 3 or something like that. Probably we aren't getting until whatever the next Nintendo is. I also wouldn't mind getting like a 2 and 3 for Prime because if you follow me on other things or listen to the other episodes, like that like I got into Metroid as an adult. I didn't like it as a kid. Um I finally got to play Prime. I always wanted to play Prime. And I finally get to play it when they put it on the Switch. And now they're finally gonna have Prime 4, which is sick, and I'm cool with that. But like, I haven't played 2 and 3 yet. Let me play 2 and 3. I'm a big Nintendo guy and I'm a big Nintendo fan, but like a lot of like my Nintendo guy and Nintendo fanness is for like, first like first party Mario, Kirby, Donkey, bring back Banjo Kazooie. Not not the stuff that this was about, which is why I was just kind of like, oh, okay, have fun farming, guys. I'm good. Um, yeah. If you think I'm dead wrong about any of that, and there's just something that's worth talking about, oh, actually, I don't think this is just Nintendo either. So like, I never played a Dragon Quest, and I always through conversations with like Dragon Quest friends of mine it seemed like 3 would be like the one for me. And I gotta say, like, that three 2D remake, or however they're titling that, looks really good, and I probably do want to play that someday. Um, but I think that and Star Wars Outlaws are going to be two games that I'm interested in, and I am going to play someday. But it's just not for me right now. I'm going to wait for the sales eventually. It might be a while, but that's fine. Because I'm still playing Concord. Now I'm playing Balatro, and what I will talk about, something I'm very hyped about, and then we'll talk a little bit about the thing I pinned, and then we will go back to what we're doing. Well, back to what you were doing. Um, I was doing this. Astrobot. I am so pumped for Astrobot, and I got one of the only pre-orders I know of locally at local GameStop, so hopefully they get it. For the Astrobot controller, and oh my god, that controller is so beautiful. Astrobot is such a beautiful game. Like, if you are like a PlayStation fan, like, I think I always will consider myself Nintendo first, because like my earliest gaming memories are like Nintendo, like the original NES, and like Punch Out and like Kirby and Mario. Um, and because of that, like Nintendo will always be like my soft spot. But like, as like a nostalgic person, as like a big fan of gaming, and like a lot of like first party like PlayStation stuff, like Horizon, Last of Us, Spider-Man, like things I just already talked about today. Speaking of Last of Us, my 10th anniversary 4 vinyl soundtrack came in for my collection. So if I actually start using my separate Instagram for my soundtrack collection, I will post that somewhere related to this podcast for you guys to find. But I'm not going to talk too much about that vinyl or 4 vinyls. I just said Last of Us, so I just want to celebrate. But yeah, I just, if you like reminiscing and you're nostalgic like I am, and like you love PlayStation, especially, and there's like PlayStation characters, like Astrobot is so good. Like Astrobot's Playroom, which was like installed on your PS5, and hopefully you played it. And like the practical reason you quote unquote should have played it is it's kind of like a demo for like the haptics on the controller, which did well, by the way. They do so well when you play that. Um, but it's such like a love letter to like PlayStation when you're finding like these artifacts that are like older PlayStation devices, and like just like Astrobots like as freaking PlayStation characters as you play, and just it's like it looks so good, it sounds so good, like the gameplay is so engaging, and like the fact that it's getting its full game is just so exciting. And like I'm not even exaggerating when I say I haven't been this excited for a game coming out since probably Spider-Man 2. Um Straight up, like I'm super excited. I'm super excited to have that controller. That controller is so beautiful. I'm gonna have that and the Spider-Man controller. My controller game is gonna be pretty swag. I can't lie. I don't even know if there'll be an episode next week because I will be playing Astrobot, and there's no way I'm gonna stop playing Astrobot to talk in the microphone, especially by myself. And I don't even like doing this by myself. No, I'm just kidding. I'll try to do it. I'll try to do it Wednesday or Thursday before Astrobot. And then I'm gone forever. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm going to make efforts to be consistent, even if Astrobot makes that hard. Unpin. We're gonna unpin the thing I pinned before. Uh, no segues, no transitions, just raw and real, the way I always am. Um, we're talking about how like my ambitions in like content creation and being a nerd or whatever else is like mental health awareness and being someone that helps people with their mental health. I've been putting a lot of thought into EXP Up Apparel, and the purpose at its birth was to raise money for nonprofits who work with mental health, especially like in gaming. Um, I'm putting a lot of thought in what I would need to do and what like requirements need to be met and what like services I could provide in order to just be a nonprofit that dealt with mental health in the gaming and nerd community. And I've already started looking into um things. I don't want to say too much because A, I don't know if it'll be possible. B, I don't know if there's any Steelers out there, you Pittsburgh Steelers. No, I'm just kidding. Shout out to Pittsburgh Steelers. Shout out to my dad. Shout out to Perm. Uh, um, I have thoughts in my head on what I could provide and what I could do. Um, Instead of just putting out cool things that raise awareness while raising money for other people in ways I could raise that money to be helpful to people. And as soon as I like start looking into the logistics of doing those things and like what things I need to do to be a nonprofit, I'm going to look into becoming my own nonprofit. Instead of working with and like I'll still work with any because I spent PAXs like PAX Easts like just introducing myself to these organizations and how I want to help them and what I want to do. Um, and if you've been listening to this podcast, you know, like I yearn to collab, like as a musician, as an artist, as like a creator. I put it in quotes because like this podcast is all I'm really doing right now to create. Like I'm in it for the relationships being made, and I'm in it for working together. So like I'm totally still going to like share that money and wealth, you know, share the love and the money, and still work with those people. And but I'm not going to rely on just raising money for others. I'm going to use that money um to give back to communities and provide services that will help raise awareness and help with mental health in the gaming and nerd community. Um and until I have official exacts and announce those, you just have to trust me that I've been putting a lot of thought into it and I'm really excited about it. And I just need to put my head down and start doing it. So make sure you're following this podcast and make sure you're following EXP Up Apparel and make sure you're following me because hopefully we start doing some shit, you know. Hopefully we start helping some people. Hopefully we start spreading some love. Um that's it for me, I think. This felt more organized than podcasts than in Big Brother Manna past. But I am who I am, so it's still a little ranty, and I apologize for nothing. Always reach out if you need to. Reach out if you want to collab. Reach out if you want to know more about XP Up Apparel. Reach out if you just want to talk. Let's hang. Beauty of the internet, right? I have been Mana / What That Meow Do. This has been a logo for my brand. We're going to keep being those things, but we're done being them here. Have a good night, everybody.